Are you ready to tell us what you're building in a minute and get some feedback?
I guess so.
No, you've got this, Julian. Tell us. You have a
go.
minute.
It's a gamified career coaching app for Gen Z.
To help people unlock their full potential in life.
Why? What's the secret sauce?
95% will recommend Coachy to their friends.
That's such a surprising stat that it bothers me.
Hi, tell me about my sleep patterns over the last week.
I've averaged about 5 hours.
So excited. Can I pitch you Tapley?
Okay, go for it.
All right, next founder up. Round of applause for him.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to stage.
Thank you very much.
What's your name?
David.
Are you ready,
Restrepo.
David, to tell us what you're building in a minute and get some feedback?
Yes, I am.
You have that 1 minute. What are you building?
Okay. So first of all, I want to start asking you a question, and is, imagine when you were 20 years old, how you were feeling when you were picking your first job, deciding where your skills, what you wanted to do in your life without much help, right? Actually, that's how 73% of the people in the US feel. And most of them end up working in a field that is not related to their major. That's why I'm building Coachy, and Coachy is a gamified career coaching app for Gen Z. You can think of Coachy as Duolingo for career coaching, where users experience a treasure trove of different activities like video lessons, practical exercises, mini games, and tests for them to discover more about their skills, their interests, their purpose, their mission, personality, and more, so that they can select their best fitting major, their best fitting job, and work on the soft skills necessary to be successful in what they want to do.
Good job.
David might be saving the world. Should I get to why, or should we do some feedback
I mean, this
first?
is your domain, right?
So do you know, are you familiar with what I do? What Free Agency is?
Tell me, please.
Hollywood-style representation for tech talent. More importantly, I've been in the field of job search tech and recruiting tech for the past decade. 2 startups, led product at a bunch in the space. But more importantly, I'm a founder from 2019 to 2024. So what do I know very intimately? We'll bleep it. If careers continue the way they are amongst Gen Z and millennials. I mean, our relationship to work is completely broken. The problem you defined existed before that. So imagine, we already had this problem of people didn't necessarily always study their major and were lost in what they should do and how to progress. Now add remote, now add worrying political or like relationship to institution trends within young demographic where they aren't getting training or apprenticeship or osmosis. And so I don't know that your product actually addresses what I think it addresses, but based on what you said, I think some of it's essential. If we do not give people an ability to take control in their own career in developing soft skills in understanding their profession and understanding how to progress in their profession, how to swap professions. If we don't figure that out, we're in for a bad time. So that's my thought as to how David's saving the world.
For sure. I knew this would be right in your power. Have you launched?
No. So I'm working on the product, and we're about 2 months for launch. We had a test with 2,500 students.
That's a big test.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that, but keep going.
Yeah, so the way I have 2 of my teammates, they are coaches and psychologists, and they have hundreds, thousands of customers. They work with different high schools. So we use their network to launch our test. This test was like a low-tech kind of test where we also learn from them, interviews, all of that
put
stuff.
Headphones on the founders so they don't hear what to do, because you're doing a very good job of giving this answer. I just want to contrast the two, right? You just directly answered this like, hey, what is the test? I very vividly can imagine your test. And so just, kind of thinking about founder pitches, when you are asked, how did you test the thing? Being explicit is super important. That was a good way to state that. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. So after this test and these conversations, and Camila and Tatiana, my team, is working with these students. We then asked them, and finally the conclusion was that 95% of these students will recommend Coachy to their friends. And that's when I said, okay, this is very good. People are having fun. People are learning. People are.
That's surprising. Why is that? Do you imagine? Why are they having so much fun? That's such a surprising stat that it bothers me.
No, because if you compare what people do right now, which are 4-hour tests, right?
Well, okay, wait, hold
And-
on. Maybe what is yours? What is Coachy for the user?
Well, I would love to show you, but imagine Duolingo, right? And with Duolingo, you unlock different activities as you progress in this journey, right?
I can imagine that easily because of language. With career is such an amorphous term, as you know, right? It's like what does that activity look like?
So, for example, imagine the memory game. You remember the memory game when you have to pick two things? So, for example, you're playing this game and all of the slots are skills, right?
Oh, wait.
And then
Skills I have, skills I
no,
want.
skills you want. So you can pick up to only five skills, because there is always a prioritization exercise for us to understand.
Are the words things that help me progress in that skill, or are the words the skills?
No, the skills that you want to work on. Like, for example, you need to be better in your communication style or your leadership or your team working, whatever. And with this game, you choose these five skills, right? These five skills, they appear in your discovery section. In this discovery section is where you see the discoveries based on your temperament, personality, skills, interests, and more.
If I pick communication, I'm getting a game that helps me improve my communication.
Correct.
Yeah. And so I've invested in this space before, and this idea, I mean, and if you think about the case that you talked about, high school students trying to find out what college they go to, do you understand some of the competitive landscape in that area?
Yes.
So who's the big player that you're trying to?
Like in high school, it would be Nadians from Power
exactly.
School, and that's a tough.
Exactly. And what's great if you should talk about that, because one, Power School is a PE buyout of that company, and then two, kids hate it. Like,
see, this is where that stat didn't hit with me, and it hit with him.
It hits with me because I understand this. When you say 95% of people want to use your games,
Yeah.
and again, partially you have to be in the ed tech world, like.
I also think you need to define game. I mean, even you might have imagined it a little bit faster than me, but I think I needed that definition, because one of the things about career that I think is extraordinarily hard is it's so different per person. So when you describe that you go down a tree of skills, and then I get games based on those skills, like, okay, great, that seems possible. Because otherwise, if you said, oh, it's going to try to advise you, and some, kind of like an RPG where you have a character and you progress. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. What do you do, right? So make sure to define that somewhere in your pitch.
So can you just tell me about the secret sauce of why, if you have this net promoter of, whatever, 95, like, or however you calculate it.
Yeah.
Why? What's the secret sauce? You don't have to can you top line the secret sauce for me?
Is the game like an experience? And all of the solutions, or most of the solutions that are in the space, they are solving the issues of the school or of the career coach. We are focusing on the student, right? And that, honestly, is one of the challenges I am facing right now.
Compare one of your games to a game we might all know.
No, Duolingo is
Duolingo.
because it's not
a
a game. Like Coachy is not a game. It's a game-like experience.
But do it anyway. What's like? Let's say I picked communicate. What's the most common skill that people pick? Students pick.
I still need to know, right? I haven't launched, but let's say communication. I would say, for example,
what would a
communication.
game kind of look like?
So, for example, it would be choose a verb. I would say, let's say, sell. Choose an object. Maybe there is a pen, and there is, okay, now you have a timer, 1 minute to sell me a pen. And then based on a series of criteria,
Mike
you
and
will get a
I
score.
feel like might disagree on this. I don't know, but like I need you to talk about the game in even more in this sort of a detail as part of a pitch, because it actually goes to this question of like why is it so compelling? You have to make an analogy for me. You have to say something like, hey, we're making things so compelling because they're dynamic. You're going to pick some objects, it's visual, and then you're going to tell a story. And what do kids love? They don't love writing an essay, but they love telling a story. And we help them tell stories, and we generate templates of stories for them to tell. And we make them fun, and we know how to make sure that the objects included in the game, and in the future, we're going to have like a Disney partnership, and then it's going to be Star Wars characters in the game. I'm making that part up. But like, my point is, I need to understand a little bit of that, because otherwise, I might be excited by your results and by your concept, but I couldn't imagine it until you got to that story. And imagining it helps me go, well, here's how it's going to be implemented. Here's why it's going to be fun. Here's why kids are going to come back to it. And here's how he can also get better at these games, right? Once you describe that, I go, oh, I could imagine the UI for that in your V1 is going to look a little ugly, but V2 is going to be prettier than that. Oh, I can imagine the best version of that is going to be really addictive. That's the thing you want to get my brain to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of these things where you have to modulate your pitch to manage two different types of it. So I don't think you've done a lot of ed tech, like
Tons of ed tech. I name an ed tech company. I invested in
Navia. Well, whatever. So we have maybe just forget this. Like you have two different knowledge areas, and I think it's important just to put enough breadcrumbs that either of us can latch on, right? So I think some things like 95 net promoter score, 2,500, and these are three key learnings because it's Duolingo for the and it's better than the product today. And Naviance is out there, and by the way, they just had a massive exit from a PE firm, so we know we're on the right track of solving this. And there's enough facts in there and a follow-up that Sherveen can get what he needs out of it, and I can get what I need out of it. And I think just kind of getting to some of that, and the business would improve some of that from an economy standpoint. But I understand the problem you're solving for. It is in the ed tech world kind of a tar pit problem, a small tar pit, a baby tar pit. But I think there's something about that I'd love to learn more about, and just keep plugging away and just know that this is a hard problem. And you're competing against people who've had some decent exits. So there's definitely a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if you can figure this one out.
Amazing. Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Good job.
Thank you.
I didn't know you did a lot of ed tech. I
I haven't done an ed tech. That was a joke. That was a complete joke. I couldn't think of an ed tech company
you
to
don't
name.
have the same. You don't have the same pain I have. You seem too optimistic to be an ed tech.
No. I think the only exposure to ed tech that I've kind of seen is actually on the career adjacent side.
Yep.
There are a lot of products that actually hit that like perfect moment in kind of either collegiate or high school area that also have to do with vocation. Those products are not built for what we're about to again experience. I think thematically from there's a generation that doesn't have a relationship to work that we might all expect. There's a generation that's going to be challenged not because they're just simply trying to figure out what they love. They don't know if they want to love work. They don't know if they want to work, or they don't know that if they do want to, they don't have the basic skills. We hear stories of founders every day shocked by like what an intern does in their office. Thankfully, my interns are a little bit better than that. But the challenge is fundamental, and so the more we can approach this problem and say, hey, early on, we want to give people the ability to understand what investing in themselves look like, what developing skills look like, the ROI that comes with that. I think that could be a game changer.
Yep. I agree. It's a problem. It's one I'm living with literally as I have teenagers. All of them trying to figure out what they want to do. And looking at ed tech, I just think kind of getting it to it quickly. It is a target problem, but this is why we own and have claim to say that we are starting to boil this little corner of the ocean. And here are the stats and metrics to back that up. I think is sort of my thought on that last pitch.
All right, next founder up. Round of applause. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Thank you. Julian.
Julian, are you ready to tell us what you're building in a minute and get some feedback?
I guess so.
Right.
Don't look so excited.
You're ready. You've got this, Julian. Tell us.
Let's
you have a
go.
minute.
Okay.
What are you building?
I'm the founder of Tapley. Tapley is a peer-to-peer marketplace for targeted micro consulting. So that's a fancy way to basically say it helps you find the right person when you need them. Ultimately, I created it because I just kept finding myself in this situation where, I needed help, but I didn't necessarily need a freelancer to do a full project for me. And I didn't want to rely on YouTube how-to videos or, finding things on my own. So you want someone who can answer your questions, and, there's not that many options to do that. Ultimately, the user experience in the long term will be really like an Uber for micro consulting. So an Uber for consulting where, you pay for how long the call you got. The price is determined by the on the supply end side, the consultant, and automatic checkout.
Good job. That was. I have a ton of questions and feedback, but I get it in a lot of important ways.
Sure. So Are you live? Have you
It's
started?
in test flight.
Okay. So tell me, what are you testing? Because there's a lot of people who've taken different runs at it, ranging from your GLG alpha sites to Catalent on the block. Why?
Intros
What's the
recently feels
Intro,
like an analogy.
yeah? What's the
ADP list? If you know that, that's a pretty cool
sure?
one.
What little market are you carving in your ICP?
Yeah. So I feel like you asked a couple of questions. What was the original question?
Where are you live and what are you testing? I just want to know what you're doing.
Yeah. So there's really 3 stages to overcomplicate this that I'm planning on doing this. Like the first one is just testing the user experience, the form factor, like how it works, which I'll tell you in a second. Then we're building kind of a SaaS model on top of that where we can sell top down to organizations and they can it's basically like our core product, but equivalent to like, a Discord or a Slack, for a team organization.
What questions are being asked and answered that are high friction?
Yeah.
Is it how to change a pedal on a bike? Is it how to build my first Airtable? Is it? I mean, what are the questions that you feel are missing in the knowledge marketplace, and how are you doing that? Before you tell me about the SaaS model and all this other stuff.
So a big one is referrals for talent for products. So like something AI can't do for you is say like, hey, I vouch for this guy is a great UX designer. For instance, so, tapping in. So the phase 1 is tapping into your existing network so you can leverage the trust and goodwill in your network. That's what I was trying to just say. But other questions are, like walking through specific software tools like, Webflow, HubSpot, Photoshop, even Excel.
So pick me a CRM. Pick me my first CMS.
So that's a helpful one, definitely.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, of all the questions, I mean, because there's a lot of different knowledge marketplaces out there, right? Of people to be able to do. And a lot of those marketplaces can actually do and solve some of those, not just give me the consulting, which I'm hooked on your consulting it.
Yep. Yeah.
Where's the bare spots you're testing, the questions and the answers that are not obvious, hard to find, expensive, frustrating, whatever, in today's knowledge marketplace?
Well, I mean, all the tools I just mentioned are things that I need. So like, I don't, it's a lot more expensive for me to hire a web designer to build my Webflow website and then have to maintain it anytime there's a change versus me just having enough basic knowledge to maintain it myself. So, and that's just one example, but I want to acquire the skills to be able to maintain these tools myself or do whatever job I want to do myself.
So teach Fiverr, but teach me Fiverr.
Correct. Two questions.
Yes.
And then a thing. One question being, what's this tapping into your own network part of this? That feels different than everything else you said.
Yeah. Okay. So like, phase 1 is where basically we're syncing with your contacts and you're leveraging your existing network, plus 1 degree of separation potentially, so it's assisting and knowledge exchange within trusted networks.
Why are you starting there?
Because it requires a much lower minimum viable
different question.
cluster.
Why do you think it'll work to start there?
Because it requires a smaller minimum viable cluster.
No, sorry. Why do you think it'll work for a user?
Why
would they use that versus DMing on LinkedIn or something?
I'm still confused. Is it like for me to go through my network?
Let me just walk through the product a little bit.
Wait, hold on. Answer my question first, though, just to give me clarity. Why that versus DMing on LinkedIn?
Well, for 2 reasons. It's not scalable to DM. Obviously, there's only so many people who can do it. And even if you did want to DM every single person every time, you're putting people on the spot, which kind of costs a lot of social capital.
Go ahead and walk us through the product a little bit.
So the question, I'm just like, I want to understand what you're saying. I'm going through my network first, right? So analysis of my own network. So who can build me a UGC 30-second video? Is that like who is that the question you would be looking to credential first? I'm still not clear on what is the question that people have.
It's a diverse set of questions because like we're focused on leveraging your network. So it's,
Okay.
Can you connect me with someone?
How about what answers?
Can you answer these questions? Can you guide me?
How about what answers do you think or you have found in your testing that will manifest themselves by onboarding this data?
Like referrals, I think is the biggest sort of
Referrals to what?
Talent, products.
Can I point out something I think is happening here? I think you have something extraordinarily compelling that you are still like finding the pitch, but can I help?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get a Shervine pitch.
Can I just tell you the UX real quick?
Yeah, you first.
Sure.
So like, you post a request basically, like you can compare it to Twitter, but doesn't look like that. But then on the key to I believe like the bottleneck in this market is unlocking the supply side. So our goal is to create a very low friction experience on the supply side and eliminate the barrier to entry. So you don't need to create a portfolio. You don't need to create like a profile, a freelancer profile. AI will basically learn what your skill set and interests are, and your home feed just presents you with requests from people that it learns that you want to see. And then beyond that, you just swipe left if you're not interested, and you swipe right to tap the request. And tapping a request basically just lets them know that you're available to help without having to type anything.
So excited. Can I pitch you Tapley?
Okay, go for it.
So
Can't wait.
understand that expert marketplaces exist in the world. But what you also understand, I'm going to guess, Mike, is that they are meant for corporate or rich clients, where you make a request and then some literal SDR goes and fulfills finding an expert in their network and pays that person like $500 to $3,000 an hour to answer a question for an investment bank, for a corporation, for somebody. Then on the consumer side, you have like intros, whatever it's called, where it's like celebrities selling their time for $1,500 a minute or something stupid. We want something more effective. It starts with your network, but it expands beyond that. The important piece is this. You have small questions or small needs. The questions might be, what's the best CRM for me at my stage of my startup? Or it might be a need of, I'd love someone to walk me through a Framer Webflow implementation. And these are things that your network, or just people in general, are actually quite equipped to fulfill. But today, there's actually not an easy way. There's no SDR that's going to fulfill this for the cost that would be effective for both parties in this sort of softer exchange we're talking about. And so at Tapley, what we're doing is, hijacking LinkedIn, we're hijacking your network, we're hijacking networks generally. We're creating a UX that allows people to essentially send beacons or blasts of requests and needs that softly inform a network. So you're not DMing a buddy saying, help me with Webflow. You're DMing your network saying, hey, who wants to help me with Webflow at a certain price that works for both parties, that allows a micro engagement. You might consider it consulting. You might consider it just a conversation. And that's going to allow both me as the seeker to get what I need quickly and at a price that makes sense for a softer use case than a GLG in the world. And then for the supply side of the equation, it's going to allow a lot more people to participate in these networks who've always looked at the GLGs of the world and said, I want to get paid $3K an hour, but this is going to be much better for everybody. That's Tapley.
Got it. No, to me,
You're a lot
when you
better at this
described
than
it,
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, when you described it, you know what I heard?
Honestly,
You know what I heard in my mind? It's Tinder for consulting.
Oh my God, I've
we
said
go.
that before. That's literally, I've said
I mean,
this.
to me, it's like I ask a question,
Yeah.
you scan my LinkedIn,
I've used
and
that
then
line
you
before.
just see people, and if they can answer your question for $200, swipe right.
Yeah.
When you
click, and
started
there's
to
a match.
talk about it, I think again, like you're a little nervous. It's okay, right? Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was doing the thing I've described before in previous pitches here. My product brain was running. It's like, wait, hold on. LinkedIn is awful. No one looks at their DMs. Why? It's full of spam, recruiter spam, ad. All this stuff has ruined the ability for me to, and I don't have a beacon. I don't have an ability to say something to multiple people. Oh, cool. He's going to create a way for me to softly ask my
Right.
network. Oh, that's really awesome. Oh, GLG's doing this, Intro's doing that. What's different about, he asked that question at some point.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, here's what's different. Here's the middle of all of this. Let me point out something else though. This is less pitch feedback and more concept feedback. Now I'm really accelerating. Sorry.
Go for it.
People have been telling me to slow down after these things and I'm just going to talk faster. Don't do the B2B route.
Yeah.
Please. Everything you said made me, and maybe it's like, that doesn't mean they can't expense it, by the way, right? But you start to say, I'm going to sell to organizations. You're going to go become another GLG. What you just described is compelling because it's kind of like a Tinder style experience. So again, they can expense it if they have the B2B use case, but don't go sell to orgs. Sell to individuals who want these micro engagements where you're enabling the low cost version and you live in making as many transactions happen. Where GLG makes expensive transactions happen, you make transactions frequent. Frequent.
Yeah, we're like democratizing expert networks.
Yes.
But I would say, so those, the B2B, those are just distribution partners.
But why
their organization.
Why are you worried about that right now? How many customers are you trying to scale? How much revenue do you have that you're going to scale to a B2B partnership? It's 0, right?
But that's like, it's
6 times 0, 10 times 0, 0. So
are you saying that because
I do
you
have
think
zero
investors?
revenue,
so why are you thinking about scale? Just do the thing first.
But let me put it to you this way instead. Let me put it this way. Are you saying that because you think we need to hear it?
No. That is the actual plan, is to sell top-down
Let me then
organizations,
advise you something.
like to schools.
Let me advise you something.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going to happen.
That's
In
true.
fact, I don't even care what Mike's saying. Like, that might happen, right? Like, who cares? Founders make plans because the exercise of putting together a roadmap and empowering yourself to envision the future, my deck doesn't look anything like what we've built at Agency.
Yeah.
Much less in 2024, by the way.
100%.
And then don't reveal those parts to investors or to
Okay.
people we're talking to, right? So like, I still don't want you to do the B2B stuff, but I get why you are thinking about it.
Okay.
But realize that that's a part that is so uncertain. Go to the part that's interesting. What's interesting is still the UX. Don't even mention the B2B part, because then we were like, great, now that you mentioned it, let's talk about B2B. Instead, don't mention it. That's a hard thing to identify, by the way. So like, don't think that like you're the only one over explaining the future, because founders, I think by default, do this.
Well, what do I say when I'm asked about the go-to-market strategy?
The initial go-to-market is all you answer. Then you answer what the future could look like. The way this might sound is, hey, I'm going to start at a beachhead of what someone needs 30 minutes at a time. And in a consumer use case where they're the one pulling out their pocket.
Yeah.
That's what I want my first 2,000, this might not be your answer, but that's what I want my first 2,000 transactions to look like. From there, I'm curious about 2 hypotheses I have. I could scale that to B2B use cases where organizations want GLG style products, but with better economics to enable their workforce to learn softer skills or micro skills. And that's one hypothesis I have. Or another hypothesis I have is on the B2C use case, we'd be surprised by how much of this could happen and how much people would be willing to invest in micro consulting and learning. And so I might just continue down that B2C path.
Right now, you need to optimize on time.
Yeah.
Optimize on time. I mean, having built multiple marketplaces business, I'm going to go on a wild limb and say, like, you probably can test consumer tomorrow. And hey, I'm building Tinder for consulting. I'm building TikTok shop for consulting. And no, because that is a big
so
thing.
funny.
No, that is exactly and that's what you're building. And that's a totally different model. You can test it and like.
That's such a good idea. That's kind of what coaches do on TikTok. They have the link in the bio to like grab one-on-one time with them, and you can hijack that. Find all the people who do that on TikTok and get them to be some of your initial supply side. But that's a slightly different product than your LinkedIn thing. Hold on, I changed my mind. Do the LinkedIn thing first. Beacons, blasts, one-to-many. Let's end here. So great to meet you.
Okay.
Good job.
Good job,
you guys.
Thank you.
A lot. Man, you went after it. You
That was
went
such an
hard.
interesting user experience. I mean, I think like LinkedIn's broken.
Yep.
That's my starting line if I'm pitching this business. LinkedIn's broken. Here's one of the things it doesn't help you do, but it should.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know why he shied away from saying it's Tinder, TikTok shop for consulting.
Every founder wants to have an abstracted, elevated version of their pitch. I mean, it's a lot of our pitches, right? Whether today or other days. And I'd encourage people to go back to basics. I think I told the founder this, just because it hasn't worked yet doesn't mean you're telling the wrong story. So if you say Tinder for consultants once, but it didn't hit, that doesn't mean that that's not right. Because you have to realize you're going to get no's in every one of your stories. Embrace that your story is going to find an audience if it's the right one.
Yeah, and this is a good piece of global feedback I think is coming through, because I know you like to think about themes. Great founders, I think, at this stage fall in love with the question, not their particular solution or the business. So when you start talking about like B2B and do all this SaaSify and you're thinking about the wrong thing. Right now, you need to be in love with the problem. The problem is, man, I got questions and it is so hard to get them answered. Do that as quickly as possible. The part, fall in love with the problem. Right now, you need to be in love with the problem. The problem is, man, I got questions and it is so hard to get them answered. Do that as quickly as possible. Do that as quickly as possible. The part, fall in love with the problem. Right now, you need to be in love with the problem. The problem is, man, I got questions and it is so hard to get them answered. Do that as quickly as possible. not the solution that is currently in your mind right now.
Might not look anything like what
Because
you
it
built.
won't. If you have a good pre-seed, it won't. That means you're following where the questions are. And to me, and I'll only speak for me, not my, that's a hallmark of a good pre-seed founder.
All right, next founder up. Welcome, welcome. What is your name?
Sab Kanogia.
Sab, nice to meet you. Are you ready to give us your pitch and get some feedback?
I am.
You have a minute. What are you building?
Sure. A little bit about my background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been fortunate to have 5 exits. Also former digital executive, worked at NBC Universal, AOL, and went through a personal crisis, which left me devastated. Met 3 people at a retreat who changed my life. I decided to live a purpose-driven life after that, left media and entertainment, and assembled a world-class team, a multidisciplinary team, to launch Mindwell Labs. And the purpose of the company is to help people unlock their full potential in life. We have built an AI coach who understands you. This is real-time biofeedback technology, which was in in-person clinics, would cost over $10,000. My co-founder, who's a neuroscientist, was doing it. We have productized that for wearable devices. And this AI coach tracks your mental patterns in real time throughout the day and offers you holistic
That's a minute.
advice.
Super interesting. I'm excited to hear more. Immediate feedback, just to get this out of the way. Too long until the product. You have compelling things to say about your own story, and so I'm just saying shrink them, don't remove them. But we were about 40 seconds in before any notion of what you're building, and it was so compelling. If we are thinking about a pitch that's truly limited to an elevator ride or a minute versus what we get to do here, you'll want to get more of that product in, because as soon as you got into it, I was like, wait, hold on, whoa, that's fascinating. I want to imagine more of that product. So feed more of that in.
Thank you.
It would make space for the question I'm about to ask is, are you live? Is this working? Where are you in the testing cycle?
Can I demo it?
Let's do it.
Sure.
We're allowed to in this moment. After the minute, that's the rule that I give to founders, is they can't do anything during the pitch, but afterwards it's free game. Oh,
All right. So the live, it's not live. It's a closed beta. And
is it going to talk or?
Yeah, it will do both things, but I'll just talk. Hi, tell me about my sleep patterns over the last week and how it's affecting my mental state.
Hold your mic to it.
So what's doing is it's in real time. It's looking at my biofeedback for the last week, how I have been focused, calm, anxious, distracted. It's looking at my sleep patterns, and it's correlating those two things. And it may give me advice about, most likely there's a correlation. We already know that.
Live demos are hard.
That's all right.
It's talking, but
Oh, is it going to
actually
headset?
the Wi-Fi.
Over the past week, you've averaged about 5 hours and 42 minutes of sleep per night, with an average of 73% of the time spent in core sleep, 13% in deep sleep, and 17% in REM sleep. Your sleep duration has increased by 4% compared to a week ago. Mentally, your focus has increased by 12%, and distractions have decreased by 46% compared to a week ago. These improvements suggest a positive correlation between your sleep patterns and mental state. Keep monitoring these trends to ensure continued progress.
Really interesting. What's the sleep is, from, whatever this is. What's the data that you're correlating for focus?
So, as I said, it's a biofeedback technology. We are looking at an autonomic nervous system. And this technology was in in-person clinics with leads on your forehead and chest, and they will measure it. We have productized that for a wearable device. So what we do is we pull your commodity biometrics from any wearable device.
Hold on. What wearable? Oh, okay.
Any wearable.
So let me do a specific one that I heard they're distractions. How is distractions measured?
So again, there are physiological signature in a body when you get calm and focused or anxious and distracted.
Can I answer this question for you? You haven't answered it yet, but I think what you want to say is this is technology that was previously tabs on your brain only in an in-person setting, but it actually is in all wearables today. Whether we're talking about a Whoop, an Apple Watch, an Oura Ring, or this, that, or the other thing, we actually can look deeper into the data than the apps natively do and find the same biomarkers that these clinics would have used to make statements or substantive kind of data claims about things like distraction and focus. Is that what you're trying to say? Because
Partially, but what I'm trying to say is that the biofeedback technology to look at distraction focus, none of the variables provide that. We have filed
do
patents.
you have a wearable? That's yours. Wait, hold on. That's an Apple Watch or that's your wearable? See, I'm still confused. So you're saying...
we are a software solution agnostic with any hardware.
Am I confused? Are you confused?
I'm
I'm
just
confused.
curious, what data is the Apple Watch collecting to ascertain focus and distraction?
So, bunch of heart rate data, beat to beat interval, something called SDNN, which tells your autonomic nervous system activity. What we do is we convert those patterns into what's happening here, which is a proprietary technology.
I think I'm perplexed because of the fact you keep saying in biomarkers, or what are you saying? Bio what? All these things?
Biofeedback, sorry.
Biofeedback. Whatever that term is, right?
Yes.
What I'm imagining is that there's a new way you're gathering data. And so I'm trying to get you to tell me, well, we have a wearable or we have this or that. But
Not new way of gathering, new way of analyzing.
right. I want you to say that so explicitly because I was looking for the gathering because you say there are these new things, right? If you tell me there's something new with bio data, biofeedback, I go, okay, great. How are you doing it? Versus you saying, actually, we can interpret this through an analysis of all the existing data, which is also, by the way, compelling from a go-to-market perspective, because then you are a pure software solution, which is cheaper. And so like it's not a bad thing to reveal that very quickly.
Tell me about the business part of it, like what your go-to-market is. I know you're still testing, but what are you thinking about in terms of how?
No, we have a pretty laid out GTM. So we have looked at many industries, but we are going after employers as a B2B SaaS platform, which will offer hyper-personalized coaching for the senior professionals. So we will sell an employer-sponsored benefit for senior professionals, and each one of them will get an AI coach, which is 24/7, which uses real data. Coaching has not changed since ancient times. They don't use data. There is no metric, and it's not 24/7. We use your real biomarker, your real biometrics.
This is like a performance coach.
It's a performance coach. Yeah. I mean, it's ultimately improves your wellness and then performance.
Why do you think that's the fastest time to market going after the employee? I mean, the benefit administrators are notoriously difficult to sell through. You can sell to them for 2 or 3 months in a year. Other time at busy with open enrollment. Like, why have you?
Yeah. So
why do you have reasons to believe that this is going to be the fastest way for you to get to market?
Because our approach is very different. I have been an executive at big company. You're right. HR is not the most innovative department.
I didn't say that. Those are yours. I just said it's a difficult channel.
I'll claim it.
It's a difficult channel to sell through.
But we will actually sell to CXOs. We have a network of CXOs. There are a bunch of them, investors in our company, angel investors. And then they will use our AI coach for a few weeks and say, hey, CHRO, get this for my entire team. So it's more of a pull model versus push.
So I think that's what you would. So it sounds like, I mean, you're 5 exits. You sound like seniors. So you're really doing a friends and family sell, and you think you have a C-level Rolodex to push this downstream into HR.
Correct.
So I think you should just say that, right? Like, and then my question is like, how many and who and what have you, and I think you should just own that, because it is. Anyone who sold HR tech is really tough. It's really tough to on
and it's very crowded.
Yeah, it's very crowded, and this is not an insurance ride or a medical plan or a transport benefit, right? Like something that these transactions that populace is used to trading in. It's different and new, and frankly, for probably the way you've just told me, for senior executives only, or at least to start in your initial go-to-market
positioning as a premium player.
Gotcha. And then. No, I think I get it. I think a lot of what Shervin said, just trying to make that a little bit more clearly. And what I gathered is some of it you're interpreting and modeling data based on whatever best available data. You're going to create some sort of proprietary synthetic notion of attention and metrics based on the best available data. And the more wearables, the better data.
There are 2 billion variables.
Sure.
We sit on top of them. And our technology is backed by publications in top journals in the world. The signature in our body, when we get calm and focused or anxious and distracted, they've been around. Our innovation is we built a monitor because our mental state changes throughout the day. You can wake up as a calm person, become anxious by lunch. So you track your mental patterns to really AI can solve that problem.
Last question I know you want to get in, like, tell me about the results as you've been testing, like qualitatively, quantitatively. What have these executives, other than them referring and hopefully making you money and being, but how has it made their life better so far in your testing? And can you describe that in the best condition you can?
Sure. So we have launched the AI coach, not launched. This is a closed beta. We start giving to,
what are the closed beta
execs, December
December
of 2023. And at this point, we have more than 4.5 million hours of people's mental patterns from over 100 countries through our MVP. Yeah.
And then what are you finding, or how do you think that's making people's lives better?
So you get holistic coaching on all the 5 major areas: mental health, physical health, sleep, diet, and relationship. All of my Spotify playlists, from morning until evening, I have different playlists. They are based on how that kind of music affects my mental state. So I personalized my playlist when I can be in a flow state, and learning a lot about my own patterns. I am most productive during early fall. I have 5 years of data from here, into my
Is
device.
anyone not related to you in this private beta? I'm just curious, but like testing with people who aren't related to you and can kind of give you a best approximation of what the actual efficacy of the product is.
The efficacy is 100% because the signature we use to define whether you are calm and focused is actually a proven signature. It's a clinical grade signature, what happens to you when you get calm or focused.
Yeah, but it only matters to me if I actually more productive at work, I get a job, or these are, at the end of the day, you can cite all the data, but the carbon-based life form really is the final determinant of it. What have you gotten from feedback from these carbon-based life forms that say like, yeah, this was cool. I want to do this again, or yes, I would pay for this, or yes, I would push this down to the VP of HR to make this meeting happen. Like, what signal are you getting in your interview that says like, yeah, this is working?
We have, as I said, 4.5 million hours of people's patterns from over 100 countries.
Let me help.
This includes a lot of executives.
That's data.
Let me help. Let me help.
They have,
none of these are results. I'm not saying, by the way, you need this answer. I think earlier.
Are you talking about studies? Like,
No. Hold on. Let me. This goes to something else you said earlier, though. A good answer could be, I don't know yet. You keep referring to data that is the tracking data. What he wants to hear is, well, actually, we see that we have improved people's capacity for calm in a given day by 40% if they use our app for 60 days. Correct. That's the sort of thing he's looking for.
Yeah, so that's a study. Yeah, so you've not conducted formal studies.
Gotcha.
Short answer.
Okay. Yeah, I said simply, and the most plain, there's a lot of polysyllabic stuff that's being, does it work? That's really just the question I'm trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I like it more from a UX perspective. So I don't like this HR tech play at all. I think you are saying, I can make wearables more effective. I can make this tracking data more effective. First of all, it did kind of ruin the narrative. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do a business model. So if that's your business model, then you just fix the pitch to tell that business model story a little bit more effectively. But my other concept level feedback is, if what you're saying is true, and this stuff does give people the control you're talking about, it's what everyone's looking for. Can I tell you, this is kind of a tar pit idea, one of these ideas that a lot of people are approaching. And it's been pitched to the feedback loop pretty much every week, if not multiple times a week sometimes. But no one has come up with this version of a solution. Mostly. There was a wearable one that was an AI coach on top, but I think the difference is I'm hearing a lot about this biofeedback thing. I think you're looking at science, where that person was looking a little bit more about lifestyle. That's compelling. And if that's what you're building, my curiosity for you is, why are you complicating it by making a B2B product when it's about the person and the person feeling better, doing better, and all these other things? It's a business model innovation, or it's a business model approach. But other than that, is it doing anything for you? Because if you can improve people's usage of these products they're already paying for, they're already tracking, and they want more out of, right? The reason this is a tar pit idea is because people want more. They want to be able to make this data actionable. They want to be able to make this data more usable for them. They want to be able to understand how this data really makes claim about their life. That feels like your sharp edge, and the B2B HR tech thing feels like, it's funny. You often ask people like, why them? It does feel like a good answer why you would do this play, because you do know these CXOs and you're going to do it this way and use this as your go-to-market. But I still don't want you to do it. I still want you to like almost say, actually, I'm not going to do it that way this time. I have such a compelling thing that I've discovered that I want to kind of give to everybody who has wearables. Versus,
so
I want to give it to
B2C?
executives.
Sorry.
Yeah, go B2C and screw HR tech and build something everyone can use, because this is something that's about someone wearing a wearable. It's not about the executive. Sure, it can be efficacious for an executive, but nothing about what you told me literally is for an executive. It's for people who have wearables and want to do better. I find that far more compelling. I found all of the things related to the product and user experience far more compelling than I did your go-to-market. That's concept feedback, not pitch feedback. So take it with a grain of salt. But as someone who's dabbled in wearables and again seen many founders pitch it, we're so way over time. But super interesting product.
It's really, really compelling. Thank you for sharing.
Good job.
Appreciate your feedback.
All right. Let's do takeaways first.
Sure. I'll just go with this last one, and I think time is your most important asset. So I actually don't care B2C, B2B. Like my view is whatever is going to get you fastest to market. That's my view on it. So for me in that last pitch, it's perfectly plausible if he wants to take the AI coach, kind of take more of an Amex Black Card role to it. And I think there's plenty of products that have rolled out in the market have been very successful and then moved down. I mean, Tesla is a good
Don't
example.
you care that the hypothesis is right? The hypothesis testing is right. So, for example, I guess where I would be concerned, I'd agree with you if both go-to-markets would test the same hypothesis. But for example, for his, in one case, it's a wearable and data play. In the other case, it's I want to sell B2B organizations performance coaching play fueled by wearables and data.
To me, I don't
Those
know.
are two different hypotheses.
Totally, but again, I'm just picking up his vibe.
Yeah, okay, fair.
This
is an overall point.
The Amex Black Card kind of suits the vibe I got.
Yeah.
And he could pull that off versus, I didn't get a whole lot of consumery, do a big LTV, CAC push and vibes and all that. So that's just what I picked up. And I'm perfectly fine with that at this stage. To me, it's just, all right, well, then explain this to me, who's in your Rolodex? Who are they attached to? What are the number of employers? I think the big themes tonight is test the fastest way possible, right? And to me, if you want to go B2B, then great. That's because it answers the most amount of questions as rapidly as possible. Not because some VC says that B2B vertical SaaS is the only way to sell a business. I mean, please, that's not true. Second, I think a big theme tonight was just be authentic. And it's kind of what we started. Say what you did, say what you didn't do, and own your story, and just lay it as plain speak as possible for you to build a relationship with an investor. And the third thing is just answer the question, right? There's so many times tell me what you learned. It's well, I hired this UX designer. No. I want to know what you learned. Those are my big three takeaways, I think, for tonight, for me.
User experience. I need these pitches to make my imagination go. I need these pitches to help me understand what your product literally is. One of the best reasons to do that too, even if you have a compelling business model, go to market, all this other stuff, your user experience is going to help me imagine all of those flows better. The more context you give me to your product, and context in this case being user experience, how is someone going to experience this thing? The more I understand your go-to-market, or if I'm confused about it, it's going to help me clear up my confusion. If I'll understand your business model more, if I understand how your end user experiences your product, I'll understand the options we have together. And I think you're right. The founder has to be obsessed with the problem. You said that earlier, versus their particular solution. But they have to be able to illustrate what the first potential or first several potential user experiences could be, so that I understand that they're well equipped to go actually execute a hypothesis test. So user experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And what they have tested, right? And you're gathering, you're a very UX person, I'm a very traction person. I think the intersection is, I know what you've tested. And I understand how people respond to that. And that gives me some notion of traction. That gives you some notion of user experience. I think that is where that feedback, I think totally, as my kids say, that hits.
Well, speaking of things that hit, this is the time we're going to pick our picks.
Oh, God. I went first last time.
Okay, I'll go first. So it's top pitch, top concept. I like that we did that last time. So, no, go ahead. Yeah, you got it.
I really liked, I thought Pandora's Box, is that Pandora's Way?
That's what it was called. Is he still?
Pandora's Way. Pandora's Way. I really like the way that just naturally flowed. It felt very authentic and very genuine, and it hit all the notes. And I got kind of what I needed enough to ask. Like I was like, okay, this is a founder who gets it, and I'm like ready for a good set of questions, and I'm looking forward to it. That was from a pitch perspective.
From a concept perspective, I'm going to do the other one first. Tapley.
Yeah.
I think that LinkedIn's broken, and there's so much there. If in my head, and again, this is my top concept, so I'm gonna pick on the concept. If he avoids becoming another B2B expert network, where I think, look, another one could be built. It's a revenue accretive model, and there's a lot of benefit to your customer there. But I think that's someone who like made me imagine a new market that doesn't exist today. Like the ability of someone, like I do this all the time actually, where I want to go build something or do something, and I am at, I think you said YouTube University or whatever, right? Like I do go learn myself. Would I pay a modest amount to have an aid on that journey? 1,000%.
Yeah, I don't know. The best pitch. I thought Tapley, your pitch of Tapley, again, if it came off as like, we're building TikTok shop for consulting, I was like, ooh, that would have been.
Do I win best pitch?
Maybe that would I'm not allowed. And I do think that is a big that is a big market and a big problem. And I think doing that answers your tar pit question, right? There's a lot of people in that space being able to do it. I have to evaluate pitches not on what I think they are.
Right.
I really work hard to evaluate what I saw and what I heard. And I think if that's the case, I may go back to Pandora's Way on,
That's
on
my
that.
best pitch.
Because just from the perspective of actually looking at the demonstrable things that the founder did and said and thought and felt.
It's amusing because I really wanted more UX out of that, but it still was well constructed, right? And I think it's weird. I don't think the construction of the form always has to be perfect, but I do think when it hits, it's going to really land. When you can have a narrative, a story, or a thing that breaks the form, it better be really good. That's the problem, though, is most pitches need the form. They're not going to nail it in some other factor. Again, if you sell such a compelling UX or such a compelling go-to-market, whatever, that can maybe be 100% of your pitch, but very few can just do this one thing. Very few pitches can be one thing, so have the form factor.
And in my head, this last pitch,
Mindwell Labs.
Mindwell Labs, like it could be there as well. I think that founder can pull off that go-to-market. That was the view I saw. So it could be that too. I would need to think on a little bit, but it was a really great set of founders again.
100%. Round of applause to the founders and to Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to tell people that they can find us YouTube, subscribe, like, share it with your friends, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We also do clips on TikTok and Instagram. Where else are we? Amazon Podcasts, all your podcast platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. Super, super helpful. If you share it with your friends, share it with your founder friends, tell them to come join the seat. Look how blue it is. It's a different seat if you didn't notice than the other seats. So encourage your founder friends to take the seat. Mike, it's been a pleasure doing number 2 with
Always.
you. Looking forward to number 3.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Have a great night.